Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. As the title would suggest, I imagine, once this goes up, I'm going to be talking about my the books that I own that are written by women who wrote the books originally not in English and were translated into English. Now, I don't know if this is something that is bigger than booktube itself, but on booktube we celebrate women in translation. It is Women in Translation Month. We get all excited about it. And actually, I had this idea last year, and I even think that I pulled together a pile of books written by women and that were translated into English. I had like a stack of books, and then I didn't even make the video. So I didn't want August to go by and to miss this opportunity to celebrate women writers who have been translated into English, yes, I think that's right. So anyways, I know I have a collection. I'm actually going to start with a library book that I read recently. It has been, my goodness, words. Oh, you know what? I forgot. If you are new to my channel, then hi, welcome. I'm Shelly, and if you're not new, then hello, special hello to you. Let's see. I love books and reading. There's something really magical about it. There's something really beautiful about reading and having a place to congregate with other readers and to swap recommendations and to hear opinions. And really that's what my channel is all about. Celebrating the love of reading and talking about books, the good, the bad, the ugly. If that sounds good to you, I would encourage you to subscribe. And without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I told my husband that I was going to film a video, and he was like, "You seem really low energy for that." So I might be coming down with something. I've also just taught my first week of school, and I've been back to work. I'm a teacher, and I've been back to work for 2 weeks now. And so, being run down, coming down with not feeling well and everything, so that I might seem a bit low energy, and just know that I know, and that you're not, if you know me and you're like, "You seem really low energy, Shelly," like, I know this. Okay, like, I already know this. Okay, so a book that I finished recently, known for its illustrations, or awarded for its illustrations, is Franny Britt, and it's called Jane the Fox and Me, which is the story about a young girl experiencing loneliness and finding comfort while she is reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Oh my gosh, why am I having a blank on that? I think that's the right Bronte, right? I don't know. I do know. I believe it's Charlotte Bronte. Why am I having a moment? Sometimes I second guess myself, and I'm like, why did you second guess yourself, Shelly? You got it. I will correct myself. I'm sure it'll be like flashing red if I'm wrong. So this is by Franny Britt, and it is illustrated by Isabel Allende. I think it's translated from the French. Montreal, Quebec, a Canadian author. So she's a Canadian author and illustrator, and it was translated by Christelle Morelli and Susan Oriou. I really, really love this book. There's beautiful illustrations, but as it's so good. It's so awesome to see, women translating women supporting women in this industry, in the publishing industry. And but anyways, I really loved this book. I thought it was brilliant. All right, I grabbed the easy ones first. So I have Tender is the Flesh, which is, I believe, a post-apocalyptic novel, and it's supposed to be a horror-esque novel, and this is by Augustine Batstierka, and she is an Argentinian author. This is translated by Sarah Moss. I bought this very, very recently, and I bought it because Jennifer Brooks really loved it. Whenever I see a NYRB, New York Review of Books, it's a publisher, has a little This is their spine. Whenever I see an NYRB who publishes kind of lesser known, maybe like forgotten classics, I think that's probably the right way of saying it, I tend to want to pick it up, especially if it's at a used bookstore. It's kind of a niche publishing house, and so I get kind of excited whenever I find an NYRB book from at a used bookstore, and it's very hard for me not to pick it up. So this is Love in a Fallen City by Eileen Chang, and this is translated by Karen S. Kingsbury. So Eileen Chang was born in 1920 into a China racked with instability. So translated from Chinese into English. I've not read this. Let's see what this is about. Eileen Chang is one of the greatest writers of the 20th century China, where she enjoys a passionate following both on the mainland and Taiwan. At the heart of Chang's achievement in her short fiction, tales of love, longing, and the shifting of endless, treacherous shoals of family life. Written when Chang was still in her 20s, these extraordinary stories combine an unsettling, probing, utterly contemporary sensibility, keenly alert to sexual politics and psychological ambiguity. Interesting. So these are short stories, I think. I did not realize that. So I'm learning something about my own collection. It's always scary reading the introduction of something because you don't know if they're going to spoil like everything. Ooh, 4 novellas form the core of this collection. 4 novellas. Interesting. I didn't know that. So I could easily, maybe not so easily because my time is very precious to me. But, or time is limited is what I should say. But I could possibly pick this up for Women in Translation. Very cool. I also have The Little Virtues by Natalia Ginzburg, who is an Italian writer, and the foreword is by Belle Boggs. I thought this was translated, maybe it's not? Oh, yes it is, translated by Dick Davis. These are essays, nonfiction essays. Ooh, okay, so this says, the Italian writer Natalia Ginzburg brings to her reflections a wisdom of a survivor and the spare, wry, and poetically resonant style of her readers have come to recognize. In this collection of her finest and best known short essays, and including a new foreword by author Belle Boggs, Natalia Ginzburg explores both the mundane details and inescapable catastrophes of personal life with the grace and wit that have assured her rightful place in the pantheon of mid-century authors. Okay, so she is a mid-century lady writer who has reflections about World War II, and this looks good. This was recommended, the author was recommended to me by my friend George, who really has impeccable taste in literature, and yeah, we don't always agree, but we do tend to quite like the same things. But sometimes if you ask us to perhaps rank something, like a group of things, we don't always fall in the same rankings. But that's okay. We do tend to enjoy the same works. I have Isabel Allende's Daughter of Fortune, and this is translated from the Spanish by Margaret Sayers Pendon. And I don't know much about this. So, an orphan raised in Valparaiso, Chile, by a Victorian spinster and her rigid brother, vivaciously young Elsa Summers follows her lover to California during the gold rush in 1849, entering a rough and tumble world of new arrivals driven mad by gold fever. I've heard really good things about Allende's work. I think she's someone I would really enjoy, but I haven't read her yet. And then we get to my favorite Italian writer. You all probably know. Yes, if you don't, and then just see if you're right, see if you're right. But I have Elena Ferrante. Now, Ferrante is an anonymous writer, and sometimes some people have suspected that she is actually a he, and he is an actually Romanian writer. And there's like conspiracy theorists out there trying to prove, well, not conspiracy theorists, but like people trying to prove that Elena Ferrante is actually a man, and a Romanian man at that. Anyways, what I know Elena Ferrante as is a female Italian writer who is anonymous, and she wrote My Brilliant Friend and The Story of a New Name. The third book, which I can't remember, is sitting on my bedside table. I might grab it in just a moment while I look through my bedside table books. But I really love her books, or his books. I don't know, because they are anonymous. The fourth book in this series is The Story of the Lost Child. These books, this collection, the Neapolitan series, is about two friends growing up and in this very small town in Italy. It's about their friendship at the core, but the way that external, like the way that life influences their friendship as women growing up in this teeny tiny little town, and what that means. And part of it is their educational journey and their ups and downs, and I really loved it. They were like some of my top reads of last year. I also have Days of Abandonment by Elena Ferrante, The Lying Life of Adults, and of course the third book in the series that I've mentioned is on my nightstand. I also think this is a translated novel, The Elegance of a Hedgehog, translated from the French by Allison Anderson. Oh, it's about a hotel concierge, Renee, the building's concierge, who is short, ugly, and plump. She has bunions on her feet and is cantankerous and addicted to television soap operas. And the friendship that she has, or that forms between herself and Paloma, a super smart 12-year-old and the youngest daughter of the Josses, or Hosses, it just depends on your pronunciation, who live on the 5th floor. So, and the way that those two are kindred spirits. I really love books about intergenerational friendships. I have had many myself, and they're just some of the most rewarding and interesting, and I don't know, there's just something about the uniqueness of an intergenerational friendship that really kind of gets me. I think I'll really love this when I do end up reading it. I have a quite varied final stack. The first one is Extraordinary Insects. This is one of my favorite books this is one of my favorite covers of all time. It just shows how gorgeous these bugs are. And it's by Anne Sverdrup Thygesen. Always. Translated by Lucy Moffat. I think she is a Swedish writer. Don't quote me on that. Norwegian. She's a Norwegian writer. And yeah, so I did start this. I thought it was fantastic. It was all about the lives of bugs. One of my favorite things in the whole wide world. I love bugs. I love reading about bugs. I think they're so cool. Didn't finish it though, so I have a bookmark here. From what I read, it was great. I also have Ava Luna by Isabel Allende. I see a lot of Allende books at used bookstores, but I don't know if I'm gonna love her. So I feel kind of unsure about this. This is translated from the Spanish by Margaret Sayers Peden. Sometimes I feel like an author is for me, but I need to not go overboard until I actually read something by her. Isabel Allende, it was born in Peru and is a Chilean author. So it is a novel about a single character named Ava. It says, "My name is Ava, which means life according to the book of names my mother consulted. I was born in the back room of a shadowy house and grew up amidst ancient furniture, books in Latin, and human mummies. But none of these things made me melancholy because I came into the world with a breath of the jungle in my memory." So we're going to be discovering the life of Miss Ava Luna. I actually quite like this cover more than I thought I would, or more than I have ever considered until this moment. I also have this book translated from the Czech. The author is Katarina Takekova, I think is right, Takekova. And it was translated by Veronique Verkusny. Goethe. I bought this because of Jen at Insert Literary Pun here. She recommended it. She reviewed it. She said it was really interesting. Of course, I have Do I know about any of the books that I own? Apparently not. A divided family who were affected by World War II and must leave Czechoslovakia. I did find the third book in the Ferrante series, which is Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. I read earlier this year Boulder by Ava Baltazar, translated from the, I don't know where Ava Baltazar is from. She is a Catalan writer, and this was translated by Julie Sanchez. This was shortlisted for the International Booker. I read it, I really enjoyed it. It was about the way that a child changes a relationship and what that means. I thought it worked really well as a very slim piece. I also have read a few years ago The Tin Flute by Gabrielle Waugh. This was translated by Hannah Josephson. This is a French-Canadian classic about, I believe we're at the precipice of World War II and the involvement of Canada in, well, French Canadians in World War II. It was a really impactful novel, mostly following a very, very poor family and a young woman in that family and her choices. And it was good. It was a good book. I do own The Unwomanly Face of War by Svetlana Alexievich, and this is translated by Richard Paver and Larissa Volokhansky. Yep, that's what it was translated from. I mean, that's who it was translated by too. I mean, sometimes my pronunciations embarrass myself. Larissa Volokhansky. Svetlana Alexievich is a Ukrainian author, and this is her long-awaited English translation of this groundbreaking oral history of women in World War II across Europe and Russia. I've heard amazing things about this book. I even started it, but I don't know, something about it makes me nervous. I don't want my heart to break, and I feel like it will when I read this, even though I know it will be powerful and really interesting. So there's that. But I know that Svetlana Alexievich is a favorite author of many of you who watch my channel. She is also the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. I know that I didn't get every last book in my collection to show you my women in translation books in my collection, but I think this, for the most part, is the vast majority of women translation that I own. So finally, the one-offs that are not exactly women in translation, but like, it's kind of a wink wink nudge nudge from me to you. So this is An Unnecessary Woman by Rabih Elamende. So this is about a woman whose hobby is translating works. And her hobby, it's a fictional story. I love this. This is my favorite book in 2021. She takes books, like a Russian book, and she reads several languages. And she takes it and she always translates a book that is already been translated. So she'll take like Tolstoy's War and Peace, and this is her hobby. This is the thing that she loves. She's a recluse. She's kind of grumpy. I really loved her. And she takes like Tolstoy's War and Peace. She'll take one of the classics, War and Peace, and it's a Russian classic that was translated into English, and then she translates it again into Lebanese. And so it's just quirky and interesting, and I really, really love this book. I just thought it was phenomenal. So whenever I get an opportunity to talk about it, I like to bring it up. And then finally, and again, it's not a translated novel, it's written by a male author, but it features a protagonist who is a translator herself, which I thought was really great. And then nonfiction works is Lydia Davis. This is her volume 2, her essays. This was a gift from a friend. I believe Lydia Davis is a translator, and she talks about her translation process. Yes, 21 pleasures of translating and a silver lining. So so if you wanted sort of like the inside scoop on translations, then this is wonderful. I've not read it yet, but I've heard it's wonderful, and I've heard Lydia Davis is a fantabulous author. So, just it goes with the theme. that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching this low energy video. I really appreciate it. And thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate that. I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.